I swear to God, if you come to life. Oh, shit. What up, guys? Bobo here from BrassReel Brothers. Thanks for joining me for some more hot, fresh popcorn and episode 3 of BrassReel Halloween! First off, let me just say, we were supposed to have a BrassReel review today with me and Andre. Man, we spent the whole day on Saturday having a blast filming all kinds of stuff with 2 different cameras, and we were doing a new setup there. Everything was working when we did it, and somehow or another, we just had some technical difficulties with the audio after the fact. So, we're gonna have those coming from the next 3 Wednesdays, but this one, I'm sorry, you're just stuck with me and that little bastard Chucky around here somewhere. Well, let's get to it. Talking about the 1988 horror classic Child's Play. We already talked about Fright Night, and this is directed by the same guy, Tom Holland. This came after Fright Night. Ironically enough, it's starring Chris Sarandon in it as well, but he's a good guy in this one. He plays a cop instead of a vampire. There's all kinds of folklore that they set up in this movie from the get-go. I mean, the movie just starts off with a bang. The character of Charles Lee Ray, played by Brad Dourif, the amazing, astonishing Brad Dourif. He's on the run, he's this criminal on the run, and Chris Sarandon is chasing him. And he just happens to go to this toy store. Like, immediately you see all these dolls lined up, and it's creepy.
No, God, no!
And there's a little shootout. At first it just seems like this guy being chased like a cop. You don't have any idea what's gonna happen. But he gets shot and killed, and right away he just starts doing this voodoo seance on the dolls and basically transfers his spirit into the doll of Chucky, or one of the Chuckies. So the whole movie is just based on this doll who's going to become a killer doll at some point. But what's great about the first Child's Play, the rest of them are good and have their place. And Andre and I did talk about the sequels. His preference and favorite one is part 2. My favorite one is this one. We both have different reasons on it, and they both are phenomenal films. I love them both, just for different reasons. It's where they go a little further down the road to where it starts to veer off, but really just for one film, in my opinion.
No, God, no!
All the rest of them I like for their own reasons. And that kind of brings me to the next thing. Don Mancini is the creator of this, or Mancini, I don't know how you say it. But he's a huge supporter of the LGBTQ community, and it really shines throughout the sequels because he tries to push a little bit more of that into the writing, into the storyline, and make them more supportive of that, which is good. I think everything in Hollywood has needed more diversity for decades. And what's really cool about Don Mancini is that he's held on to Chucky. The character of Chucky is his. While Tom Holland helped him sculpt the screenplay and everything for the original Child's Play, the story was his, and he has owned this character from day one. And that's hard to say for a lot of creators of horror characters, like the creators of Friday the 13th. There's been lawsuits there forever. And the Halloween movies. John Carpenter lost the rights to that a long time ago. He's kind of finagled his way back in with the David Gordon Green, now trilogy. And Wes Craven with Freddy, all kinds of other people have done things with that character, including having a team up with Jason, which I love that movie. He did hold on to the right to Scream until he died, God rest his soul. But anyways, I'm getting off track. Point I'm trying to make is Don Mancini held on to this character Chucky and still holds on to him. They did a remake of Child's Play, which I do like that remake. They did a really good job of it. Mark Hamill does the voice of Chucky, who's awesome.
Good night, Andy.
But just like the Fright Night remake, they did something so different with it that it stands alone as its own little thing. And so I can like both worlds of this Child's Play, just depending on what mood I'm in. But as far as this Child's Play storyline that's in the original film, that's still a current Child's Play storyline that's been going on throughout all the sequels outside of the remake. And now they're creating a Chucky TV series on the USA and Sci-Fi Network coming out, which I heard that's going to be actually pretty cool and pretty good. But outside of Brad Dourif transferring his spirit into this doll through voodoo, it then focuses on this kid Andy, played by Alex Vincent, who's phenomenal. Probably the best kid actor I've ever seen. Him and like Dakota Fanning, no kidding. They've always said you're either a phenomenal child actor or a terrible child actor. There's no in between. And this kid is phenomenal. And it focuses on him and the mom. It's a single mom and the kid's just got, a tough life with no dad. And they never really explore what happened to his dad. They talk about it for a second, but I would have liked for them to kind of explore that a little bit more. That's something else Andre and I were discussing in the lost tapes. But he really wants this good guy doll.
No, God!
And so the mom gets him one, but she buys it bootleg from some nasty toothed homeless bum.
May it bring you and your kid a lot of joy.
This movie's grounded in reality while throwing some fiction and fantasy in there. It's kind of like the Fright Night scenario with Tom Holland. Nobody's going to believe there's a vampire next door to him, and the same thing with this doll. Nobody's going to believe it's a killer doll, even though we all secretly have that fear. You son of... Outside of this being a great film, well acted, well shot, well written, all that stuff, the animatronics were groundbreaking at the time. There are moments when I'm watching Chucky and it's like, damn, that is good.
Fingers. Sleepy. Gesundheit.
Even today, I mean, it really holds up.
Hi. It's me, Chucky.
What do you think?
They did use a little person to help out with some of the filming, like when no one else was involved, like and they were just filming the doll moving around like couches and stuff like that. They actually built everything else around him a third of a scale bigger, so that little person dressed in the Chucky outfit and the mask could walk around and he still looked the same size as the smaller Chucky that is actually the doll, the animatronics. So it's mixed between animatronics and that little person running around in the suit. And man, it's really, really good. And the way they combine the two of them, you get them mixed up completely. It's very well done and it makes a killer doll freaking scary. Like I said, classic fear, common fear for everybody, kind of like people's fears of clowns. There's all kinds of great kills in the movie. It is a slasher. It's not over the top gory. It definitely relies on the suspense and the fear of the doll, which is another thing. Brad Dourif's voice is amazing and has become iconic for this character.
You stupid, you filthy slut! Did you with me?
But you don't hear his voice come in until like halfway through the movie. At this point, they're all showing the doll and no one else sees him move except for the kid, except for Andy. And so because of that, there's certain times that you're watching the movie in the beginning and you're like, is Andy doing this? I mean, back in '88, when any of us first saw the film. Now when you're watching the movie, you know it's Chucky. There's a scene finally where the mom's with the doll by herself and she sees that the doll has no batteries, and then Chucky turns around and starts just talking all this trash to her and attacking her. That scene's awesome, and I remember being as a kid, I'd be like, oh. When we see that Chucky develop and emerge, that trash-talking Chucky who's just scum of the earth, that's the Chucky that everybody's grown to know and love later in the sequels. And in the sequels, they made him more comical. They focused on that more, the same way they did with Freddy. Freddy started out really scary, and then they focused more on the gimmick and the joke of it. Like, there's a lot of parallels between the Terminator and this film. Like even so much to where they just can't kill this animatronic doll. They keep trying, they shoot him, they chop his limbs off, they burn him to death, and he just keeps coming back to try to kill him, like the Terminator. If the movie isn't scary enough with this killer doll running around, he figures out to get out of the body of Chucky, Charles Lee Ray. He goes and sees this old voodoo guy again, which there's a little exposition there. And there's when he realizes to get out of the body of Chucky, he has to transfer his soul into the first human that laid eyes on the reality of this talking doll. So the first person that saw that he could talk and do all these things, he has to transfer his soul back into that person, which is Andy. And man, that's where you get to see the chops of Andy. When Chucky starts coming after Andy, and he's just like going up against the door of this wall in this jail, and he's crying, he's like, please, no, no. Man. Good actor. And when Chucky's frying that doctor's head with those shockers, not only is that a brutal death scene, but you can tell this kid's really scared. Very effective. Call that the brain frying scene. And now Chucky's making it look like this kid's doing stuff. They actually think this kid's crazy. All in all, this movie's great. That's another one. You're not gonna find many movies this month that I don't like. Every one of these movies I'm a big fan of, so I'm gonna give them all high ratings. But like I said, Andre loves this movie too. He prefers part 2 as his favorite, but he still loves this one. We both recognize that it's a phenomenally made movie and very ambitious for the time. Again, the 80s, you could put a movie like this out and make it a blockbuster and it would work. The new Child's Play did pretty good, but they had to change a lot of things to make it work, to update it. And I do love the whole franchise, some more than others. There's one that's really hard to watch. That's Seed of Chucky. But I got them all right here on this awesome set. Ooh, look at this. Oh, yeah. Ooh. Ooh. So Child's Play? Sadistic popcorn. Them evil popcorn. Voodoo popcorn. Guys, that'll do it for this episode of a BrassReel Halloween. Make sure you tune in for tomorrow for The Bay, directed by Barry Levinson. Ooh, this is a sleeper hit. A lot of you guys might not know about this one, but if you do, you're probably on the same page. It's awesome. And remember to hit that like and subscribe button to help us get famous. Look for BrassReel Brothers on Facebook. Look for Bobby Williams on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter, BrassReel Bobby at BrassReel. And remember, life gives you lemons. Make some hot, bloody, fresh popcorns.
Good night, Andy.